The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
This morning, new video shows Republican operatives working with an attorney for former President Trump spending hours inside the restricted area of a Georgia elections office. This was the same day that a voting system there was breached. CNN's Drew Griffin has been covering this story for some time now and joins us with the very latest on this. Drew.
Pretty much confirmation here, John. This all happened on January 7th, 2021, one day after the Capitol insurrection. But it's what it could mean for the future of voting that experts are so concerned about.
The newly obtained surveillance video shows a Republican county official and a team of operatives working for Trump attorney Sidney Powell inside a restricted area of the local elections office in Coffee County, Georgia. Among those seen, Kathy Latham, a former GOP chairwoman of Coffee County, who is under criminal investigation for posing as a fake elector in 2020. Latham previously claimed she was not personally involved in the breach, but the video appears to undercut that claim, showing her inside as a team of Republican operatives work on computers near election equipment and proceed to access voting data. Scott Hall, an Atlanta bail bondsman and Fulton County Republican poll watcher, is one of the people who spent hours inside the restricted area, and in audio obtained by CNN, Hall later described what he did.
I'm the guy that chartered the jet to go down to Coffee County to have them inspect all of those computers, and I've heard zero. Okay? I went down there, we scanned every freaking ballot.
The Georgia Secretary of State's office calls what happened in Coffee County criminal behavior, and a state criminal investigation is underway. But election experts say the damage could be even bigger than the illegal accessing of voting equipment in Georgia and other parts of the country. These operatives may be undermining the security of elections in the future.
One of the key defenses to an attack on electronic voting machines is that in most cases, to complete a successful attack, you need physical access to the machines. And so these efforts to unlawfully gain access to the machines opens up a new sort of threat that we haven't seen in the past.
We did get an adamant response, John, from Kathy Latham, the woman who is all over this video. Her attorney insisting Ms. Latham has not acted improperly or illegally. This is just one of multiple breaches across the country that all seem to have connections to this effort to keep Donald Trump in office. Investigations underway in several swing states where this same exact type of activity was taking place, John.
And you see it right there.
Yeah,
On the video, Drew. The video is relatively unambiguous. So the impact on the upcoming elections, Drew.
Yeah. One concern here is, of course, with the physical access and computer know-how. It's possible a bad actor could try to pull something on election night, but it wouldn't be easy. The bigger concern is that so much misinformation about voting machines is being spread, a lot by these people, that a lot of us will just not accept election results because of the doubt that this kind of breach puts into the entire electoral system here in this country.
Yeah, perhaps intentionally undermining the faith in the system. Drew Griffin, as always, thank you for your reporting.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Glad to see everybody today and hope everybody's doing well. So, as you saw here at the opening of credits here, you saw one of the big things that everybody's talking about today, and that's, oh, excuse me, what's her name? Kathy Latham. Got a video of her being at the Georgia Secretary of State's office, copying data from Coffee County's election system, which she had no authorized access to. Okay, so she was part of the Trump team to try to steal the election. And anyway, there's an article here I want to read about that, and it's written by Kate Brumback from AP. A Republican Party official in Georgia told a computer forensics team to copy components of the voting system at a rural elections office 2 months after the 2020 election and spent nearly all day there, contradicting her own sworn deposition testimony about her role in the alleged breach of the equipment, a new court filing says. The filing late Monday is part of a broader lawsuit challenging the security of the state's voting machines that has been drawn into a separate investigation of former President Trump's efforts to overturn his loss in Georgia. The apparent breach happened on January the 7th, 2021, the day after the January 6th insurrection by Trump supporters seeking to stop the certification of the election. Interior security camera video from the Coffee County Elections Office shows that Kathy Latham, the county Republican Party chair at the time, welcomed the computer forensics team when it arrived, introduced the team to local election officials, and spent nearly the whole day there. She also instructed the team what to copy, which turned out to be, quote, virtually every component of the voting system, unquote, the filing says. The video directly refutes Latham's testimony in a sworn deposition and her representations in filing with the court, the document states. This filing comes in response to Latham's attorney's attempts to quash subpoenas for her personal electronic devices, including cell phones, computers, and storage devices. Robert Shealy, an attorney for Latham, did not respond to an email seeking comment. He previously said his client doesn't remember all the details of that day, but he said she, quote, would not and has not knowingly been involved in any impropriety in any election, unquote, and, quote, has not acted improperly or illegally, unquote. Latham said in a deposition last month that she moved to Texas over the summer. In January 2021, she was chair of the Coffee County Republican Party and was the state party caucus chair for more than 125 of Georgia's smaller counties. Latham also was one of 16 Georgia Republicans who signed a certificate in December of 2020, falsely stating that Trump had won the state and declaring that they were the state's, quote, duly elected and qualified, quote, unquote, electors. Trump, in fact, lost Georgia by nearly 12,000 votes to Joe Biden. The investigation into Trump's efforts to change the results includes a phone call he made to Georgia Secretary of State, a fellow Republican, suggesting he could, quote, find, unquote, just enough votes to make Trump the winner. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, a Democrat who's leading that investigation, has notified Latham and the other fake electors that they could face criminal charges. The Georgia Secretary of State's office has described the copying of data from Coffee County's election system as an, quote, alleged unauthorized access, unquote, and last month asked the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to get involved. It's the latest of several suspected breaches of voting system data around the country tied to Trump allies since his election loss. Now, you see, here you got Republicans always accusing Democrats of rigging elections, cheating, and stuff like that, and they come up with, maybe one or two people who might have done something wrong when they were voting, but it wasn't deliberate. It was a mistake or something like that went on that created it. But certainly not to the level of this. Never to the level of this. Folks, The Republicans are the ones that have been cheating more than one time in more than one election. Okay. The thing is they don't like to lose, and the fact that they don't like to lose only indicates their fear of the voting system. Okay, because even though they say that, you know, Americans side with them all the time, which is bullshit. Okay, the fact is they know what the statistics show, and that 70% of this country identifies themselves as liberal thinkers. They're not fucking conservative, and the rest of this country falls in either the mild to extreme conservative phase of this, whatever you want to call it, arm of their party. So the Trumplicans are a very small slice of American population. Okay, they're not even a third. They're not even a fifth of the Republican Party. They're a very small faction. The problem is they got too many of their own sitting in seats of power in this country, and that gives them leverage, which makes them look like they're dominant in the party. But it could be anything less, because they don't have the voters to back up to keep these people in the positions they're in. And you see what they've been doing this year so far. They've been pissing people off all across the country. Okay, basically almost like they're trying to sabotage themselves from keeping what they have. And you know that's going to play a role in this November's election. Now, if by some miracle they manage to hold on to what they got, I would suggest that Democrats check vigorously through every state's election system and make sure that the votes were counted fairly, and that the people counting those votes weren't loyalists to Donald Trump or something like that, because you know that Trump is not, you know, beneath such a thing like that. Okay, I mean he's not above such a thing like that. He can get his way any way he can. Okay, and that's what he's going to do. I mean, he said it himself. If he has to run while he's in prison, he's going to run for president. I mean, this is the arrogance of this cocksucker. I mean, he's not going to quit. He's not going to quit. And so his supporters aren't going to quit. And they're going to put every monkey wrench they can find into the gearbox this November to try and hold on, or at least take away some seats from the Democrats, so that way they can hold on to power in that part of our government. Okay? You know, it's sad, but to think that would happen. But, you know, I think there's a lot of anger right now pushing a narrative that the Republicans are not saying. Okay, and that narrative is we're trying to defend our democracy. That's what's important most right now in voters' minds. Okay, it's not even the economy. It's not even COVID-19. It's not even jobs. Okay, the number one concern on voters' minds this year is democracy. People are afraid of losing their rights in this country. Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, it doesn't matter what kind of race you are. We're all worried about what's coming down the road with this Trumplican party here, because we don't want somebody telling us where the bear shits in the woods. We don't want somebody to sit here and tell us that, oh, you can't have an abortion, period. Okay, period. We don't want people to levy draconian laws on our heads. Okay, that's not America, that's not democracy, that's not the way this country was meant to run. Okay? And so that's the big issue everybody's going to be going to the polls for this year. And I don't think the Republicans realize that, or if they do, they don't care, because they're continuing this bullshit. I mean, look, just today, this thing comes out about this one fake elector here trying to rig things for Trump. And she reveals that she lied while she was under oath, saying that, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, now they found out she did, because they got video proof of it. She was there the whole fucking day. She was there. She said she was only there for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then she went home early to go eat out with her husband. That's a big fucking lie. She was there the whole day. They got enough video footage here to wrap around that building 50 times that she was there the whole day. Okay? And she was doing all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, she's in trouble. And, you know, Liz Cheney had come out and said that, you know, people who supported Trump while he was president at the same time were ripping him behind his back. Nobody liked this guy. Which makes me wonder, why did they wait so fucking long to go and whistleblow, or whatever the hell they call it, to go tell somebody, hey, numbnuts behind me is breaking the law 6 ways from Sunday, do something about it, okay? I mean, it's like, why did they wait? I mean, he was firing people right and left, so what the hell did they have to lose? Okay? What the hell did he have on this, all the people that worked for him that made them continue to toe the line right up to the last minute? I mean, what the hell did he have on these people? Maybe some of that stuff was part of the files that he took with him to Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that was all of, all the dirty laundry behind everybody that he managed to get involved in politics. All these wannabe politicians here, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Maybe that's what he did to get these people inside the system, and to keep them loyal to him was by threatening, hold a sword of Damocles over their fucking head all the time. Maybe that's what he did. It doesn't, a person, I mean, if you remember the primary election, in 2016 for the Republican Party, okay, the Republicans were all attacking Trump, every damn one of them. I mean, go back and review the debates they had, okay? None of those people said anything nice about Trump. They all knew exactly what he was, because everything they accused him of, we know today as, yes, that was him. They were actually telling the truth on the stage about Trump at that time, okay? This was when they were all running for president, and Trump was nobody's baby, okay? The Republicans were bashing him right and left. But then, all of a sudden, when it started to narrow, the field started to narrow down to just Trump and this many, or Trump and this one, all of a sudden the people that were talking, negatively about him started to talk nicely about him, okay? And nobody ever wondered why you came out so adamantly against this guy. I mean, you called him the fucking devil, for Christ's sake, and now you're saying, oh, he's the best choice for America. What the hell happened? Did he call you in the office one day and showed you a box full of child pornography that he found under your bed or something, and said, you either start talking nice about me or this shit gets leaked to the press? I mean, is that what he fucking did? What the hell did he have on all these people that bashed him from, to pieces when he was trying to run for president? I mean, those debates that they had were nasty as hell to him, but they're not going to be anywhere near as nasty as the ones that are going to be coming up this, for president next time around. Okay, the Republicans are going to fight tooth and nail for that seat next year. So, like I said, it's very weird how all of a sudden all those opponents that he had running, for president in the Republican Party, all of a sudden were acting like they were his best friends. Okay, nobody becomes best friends after saying what they said about him. Okay, I don't care if you want to call it just political play or something. That was not just political play. They were smearing his name every way, which way they could. Okay, it was mudslinging right off the bat, and they hit him the hardest on the stage. But at the same time, when people started voting this one out, voting that one out, this one out, that was gone, he drops out. All of a sudden, all the people that were slamming him and beating the shit out of him on the stage, all of a sudden were now his best friends, and I endorse Trump. I'm working on a campaign to get him some money for his campaign. What the hell did he do with these people? That's what another thing that everybody wants to know is, what the hell did he have on all these people in the Republican Party? And why is it that right up until after he lost the next election, okay, and he was back being a private citizen again, why so many people still are supporting him when so many things are coming out about this guy that shows he had more than just one smoking gun in his fucking house. Okay, he had hundreds of them. Okay, and he's got shit from the past that's still following him to this day, and he still has to deal with all that. This guy was dirty. I mean, he makes fucking Al Capone look like a fucking angel, this friggin' guy. Okay, but it makes you wonder, why are there still people still supporting him, and so many that hate him to their guts? What the hell? What is that contrast? Why is there such a contrast there? What is going on behind that man's walls that's keeping these people, some of these people in line behind him. Okay, what the hell is happening there? Okay, because, you know, it's very unusual to see something like that happen. And like I said, I ask all of you to go to YouTube, look up some of those debates from the Republican primary back, you know, in 2016 or 2015 or whatever, and listen and watch how those people beat the living shit out of Trump while he's on the stage. I mean, they basically slam him every friggin' way they can to, you know, to destroy this man. Okay, and that tells you they were all against having that man sitting in the White House. Every damn one of them. They knew he was dangerous. Okay, but then all of a sudden, those same faces that were slamming him, all of a sudden they're their best friends now. That doesn't happen in politics, people. That shit does not happen. Okay, yeah, sure, there's political gamesmanship and stuff like that, but you can tell when they're just talking, when it's just political gamesmanship. This was not political gamesmanship happening that time in the Republican Party. This was a coordinated attack to destroy Trump from ever getting any further in the fucking thing, but it backfired on him because the people loved him. Okay? They didn't learn the lesson that everybody likes the small guy, the guy that gets picked on all the time, and that's what they made him look like, the victim. And so the victim gets the attention, and he played it up. He played it up, and that's how he got his ass in the friggin' White House. That, and plus, who knows what he got Russian help on top of that. So, this is what this guy is, okay? He's a phony to everybody that sees him on the stage or on TV. Backstage, the guy's a goddamn devil is what he is, okay? And anyone who spends any time around this guy finds that out, and finds out too late, and they lose their job, and they finally get themselves in trouble because they were intermingled with him on some damn scandal that he was at that time doing, okay? So the guy is a bad fucking apple. Well, no, he's not. He's a rotten apple. That's what he is. He's not just bad, he's rotten. Okay? And boy, did he spoil the bunch while he was in the White House. Okay, well, something else also today. You have the special master in the Mar-a-Lago case that was selected by Trump. Okay? Now Trump hates the guy, okay, because his special master, and let me, what's his name here? I can't even remember. Raymond Dieri, okay, that's the name. He a senior U.S. district judge. Okay, apparently he's skeptical of Trump, his claims about declassifying certain things. And plus, his attorneys won't answer either way whether he declassified or not, okay? Because I think they're worried that if they say something about it now, it could hurt him later when they indict him on charges of, taking all that stuff out of the White House, the folders and shit, okay? So, the judge is like, he's not buying the story that Trump is saying. And he's saying, well, if you declassified this stuff, then there's no reason why, you shouldn't tell us, okay? You declassified it, and that would be okay. But if you didn't declassify it, then, you're in trouble because you shouldn't have had the stuff to begin with. There's a certain procedure in the government that you follow when you're dealing with removing stuff like that to read, okay? There's people around that would have records of it. They would know there'd be evidence of it that it was done, so he could prove it, that yes, I declassified the stuff. Okay, there would be proof either way, but the thing of it is there is no proof to suggest that he declassified any of the things that he took from the White House, because if he had any, I'm sure they would have presented that to his master. And since they were, being evasive with him and not answering the question, that suggests that they probably didn't have any proof, which means that Trump just grabbed the shit and left with it, without going through the process. And I have to ask the question, like, well, how does somebody just get stuff out of a fucking place that's classified and walk out with it without having, you know, signatures or anything like that, to know that, oh, so-and-so was here today and he grabbed some files here. You know, don't they keep records of anything that's taken? You know, I mean, even if it's the president, they have to put in a log somewhere that so-and-so was here today and took out XYZ classified documents, and so that they know where to look wherever if they want them back, they know who's got them. It's like a library card, okay? Who's got the fucking book? It'll have it, you know, in the files or something like that, so they can track the person down. Just because it was a president that went down there doesn't mean he doesn't have to do any of that shit. He still has to do that. Everybody does. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. Even if you're Jesus Christ, you still got to go and sign this and go through all the motions. So how the hell did Trump manage to get classified data, especially on the level that he's got? Okay, out of the White House with nobody saying anything until after the fact that he's got it in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, he'd have to have somebody on the inside, right, giving him this stuff? I mean, wouldn't you think? Maybe he personally didn't go down and get it. Maybe he had somebody else do it. And so maybe there's a second person or a third person involved in this thing that were following orders from Trump. You know, I have to wonder, well, who would those folks be? So, you know, I'm sure the more we dig into this thing about those documents, the more we're going to find exactly what went on and what happened. Okay, I'm sure Trump is not going to be eager to want to get into details about it, because the more he talks about it, the more he's putting the rope tighter around his neck, as it were. But he's going to be I can't see how he won't be indicted from this. He's going to be indicted from this, because if they can't explain away how he had this stuff and how it falls under executive privilege, if they can't get to that executive privilege borderline there, then they have no choice but to indict him. Okay, they have to put him under oath. They have to do an investigation, and you know, the circumstances may show that, you know, there's no way that he can defend himself against this, and if they have to follow the law, then he's going to have to be punished for it. Okay, so I mean, not only is it that we had the first time in American history we have a president who actively tried to, well, not tried, but actually stole national secrets from our archives and took them home to his place in Florida and shoved them in a fucking desk drawer, okay, without any security or anything like that protecting it. Plus, he never had authorization to take it in the first place, even though he could have given himself authorization to look at this material. But apparently he wanted more from it than just looking at it. He wanted to take the stuff home for a reason, okay, to take it out of the White House for a reason, okay. There's no such thing as as someone taking home classified data as homework, okay. That stuff stays in the office. It stays under control of, you know, security. So there's no reason why he would take that stuff home. He wanted it for a reason, which that brings me back to the theory that he photocopied some of that shit. Okay, I bet you there's stuff that he copied. It's sitting somewhere in the world, I don't know where, but it's, you know, some people saying, well, go look in the coffin where he just buried his ex-wife. You know, people are saying that, hey, there were too many people carrying the coffin on her funeral, the day of her funeral, and they, you know, it's like, well, if they cremated her, why did they need a coffin to put the urn in, you know, and they had 6 men carrying the goddamn thing. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe, you know, this guy is lower than snake piss, Trump, okay? There's no trick he's not going to try. So maybe, you know, some of that stuff is buried in that coffin. Who knows? We may have to exhume that damn thing in order to find out what's in there. I mean, wouldn't that be a slap in the face to find out that this son of a bitch, he hates people so goddamn much that he'll actually use their damn corpse to hide secrets that he's got. You know, this is the kind of man that he is. He grew up around mafia people. That's the way he thinks. All right? All the people he ever dealt business with were people like that, you know, organized crime. That's all he ever dealt with in his fucking career. So he thinks like they do. Well, I think there could be some truth there. It sounds crazy, but they say life is stranger than fiction. So you always have to leave that possibility there, as perhaps a base that we need to cover before we close the book on this, because we want to make sure that we got everything that we need to get. And I think the FBI doesn't trust Trump. That's why they went and got that search warrant, okay? Instead of going to Trump directly, they didn't believe him anymore. They said, we still got stuff missing. I don't have it. They knew he was lying. So they can't trust Trump. So they had to go to a judge and say, we need a search warrant. We got to go in there. We know he's got stuff. We got a witness here that says that he still has all this other stuff that hasn't been accounted for yet. It's sitting in his fucking bedroom somewhere. We got to go get it. And so they went. The judge wouldn't have ever signed off on that thing if he didn't think they had a good case there for a search warrant. That's what people in the Republican Party don't understand, is these search warrants are not easily get. Especially on this level where you're trying to search the ex-president's house. If he saw there was a good chance that the things were there, then he signed off on it. But, the media, the court of public opinion always sides, on their own, one way or the other. It's usually on the wrong side. So, anyway, let's have a commercial break. We'll return after those messages.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Oj, kolla här. Kolla här.
Det var en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Det är som en jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja. De vet vad de gör. Nej, det är lugnt.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Trump is bad for the party. I disagree with you. I think President Trump is good for the party.
What is your reaction to hearing what Donald Trump says?
Disgusted. And he doesn't have the temperament or judgment to control himself when he gets mad. He's a jackass. Donald Trump is the most unelectable Republican I've seen in my lifetime. And I'm a Republican and he's not. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. He doesn't represent my party, and he shouldn't be commander-in-chief. We found something in common. I've come to like him, and he likes him.
They're fascists. I think they want to use the power of the state to change the rest of us.
Falsely branding a political protest as an insurrection, that is the definition of authoritarianism, of fascism.
Their tactics are fascistic. The left wants power because that is essentially their state of grace.
The blackout of information by the left is pure fascism.
Turns out there are fascists in charge.
Nancy Pelosi is fascistic.
They're using, frankly, fascist policies to silence the right.
They use cancel culture as a tool to impose their fascism on us.
Well, I won't say fascists, but yeah, fascists.
This is fascism. This is fascism of the left.
You were talking about fascism. There's no other word to describe.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
This other story here, I found here, published by Tom Boggioni, I think that's how you say it, from Raw Story, published today, entitled, Trump Never Learns. Refusal to listen to his attorneys keeps putting him in hot water. Making the case that Donald Trump's legal problems will continue to grow and overwhelm him, Washington Post columnist Jennifer Rubin maintains that he only has himself to blame because he continually refuses to heed the advice of his lawyers. He instead turns to the cranks he surrounds himself with because they tell him what he wants to hear. Case in point, the columnist notes is a report from the New York Times that former White House counsel Eric Hirschman warned the former president late last year that he had no right to sensitive government documents he spirited away to his Mar-a-Lago resort after he lost the 2020 president election. As the Times' Maggie Haberman wrote, Hirschman, quote, sought to impress upon Mr. Trump the seriousness of the issue and the potential for investigations and legal exposure if he did not return the documents, particularly any classified material, unquote, adding that Trump listened but reportedly made no effort to comply with DOJ officials. That in turn led to FBI agents showing up at Mar-a-Lago with a warrant, allowing them to search the premises where they recovered boxes of documents that belonged to the National Archives. And as Rubin pointed out, this falls into a pattern of Trump not listening to lawyers, including former Attorney General Bill Barr, who told the former president there was no evidence of election fraud in 2020, and seeking less informed advice. Put simply, Rubin wrote, quote, Trump never learns, unquote. Quote, to be clear, Trump should have been on notice that the materials were classified and not properly held by him, given that the government had requested the documents and then subpoenaed them, unquote. She wrote before adding that he instead, quote, continually disregards the advice of serious lawyers. Instead, he searches for answers he prefers from cranks, incompetents, and partisan ideologues. In the case of Mar-a-Lago, he has reportedly turned to non-lawyer and right-wing zealot Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, unquote. For that reason, among others, she suggested that is why he not only lands, quote, himself in hot water, unquote, but also, quote, risks making the serious lawyers into adverse witnesses against him, unquote, as in the case with Hirschman, who has already provided damaging testimony to the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. Rubin added, quote, Trump remains his own worst legal enemy, unquote, before predicting, quote, at this rate, it's possible the Justice Department will make its decision on whether it will charge Trump for his document hoarding by the end of the year, unquote. I think we all kind of seen that, you know, every time he goes to a rally, you know, or a speech, gives a speech somewhere, which he's been doing lately, and he talks, the media picks up on little things that he says that eventually kind of raise a red flag, because it either contradicts something that he said before or kind of, you know, backs him argumentatively into a corner where he can't get himself out, like where he was talking about, where he said people who take the fifth are guilty. You know, he was talking about, you know, mob bosses who pled the fifth, and of course they were all guilty. And yet when they questioned him recently, he pled the fifth like 400 times. Okay, he wouldn't answer a goddamn thing, and he pled the fifth. So he tells everybody how you can tell when somebody's guilty, and then he does the very thing that's supposed to make everybody say he's guilty. You know, so the guy, he can't control his mouth. And I think I've said that way early back on this show here about how Trump has a very difficult time editing his mouth when he talks. Okay, he doesn't, he spends a lot of time up on the stage when he's talking to his crowd, you know, mumbling and stumbling over things, and the point gets lost, and people still applaud and clap with him, you know, like it means something to them. You know, just being in his presence is enough. I mean, and, you know, he says stuff that really is kind of dumb. Not kind of, but it is dumb, but then it sometimes you don't even understand what kind of point he's trying to make, because you can't really understand what he's saying, which could be a sign that his mind is going. I mean, because he's not a young man, okay, and he's not really, he doesn't look healthy. So who knows how many years or months he's got left on this earth. The fact is that you know, the guy is very arrogant, and he won't listen to his lawyers. But the thing of it is almost every lawyer that he hires ends up becoming a fucking witness against him, you know, or they're caught doing some criminal thing for him. you know, like Powell or the Kraken lady. Okay, she's into it deep now. I mean, they got her right by the, well, you know what I'm saying. Okay, so they, you know, I remember how she was being interviewed by 60 Minutes Australia, Powell, and they had, this is on YouTube. You could just go back, you know, not too far back, maybe like 8-9 months or something, when they were interviewing her when she was being investigated. And they were trying to get her to answer questions that she wasn't going to answer even in the investigation. And then she started to get really rowdy and nasty to the interviewer, and she just gets up, rips her microphone off, and walks away while she's, you know, saying obscenities to the interviewer. And of course, they recorded the whole thing. They didn't shut the cameras off. They kept recording. Because, you know, down in Australia, you know, they can hear things on their TV like the word fuck, and they don't bleep it out down there like we do up here. Okay, so anyway, she shows her true colors, you know, and basically they put her in a corner that says, you know, she's less than honest for an attorney, and that, you know, she can't be trusted for anything that she says. Her and Giuliani together were a duo made in hell. Okay, that's why the both of them are in trouble right now. But, you know, that's the thing about Trump, is everybody that associates with him for any length of time, whether it's a short time or a long time or what have you, eventually, you know, the angels of justice will come knocking on their door, you know, and either to arrest them or to question them in court, you know, or something. But, you know, they're always in trouble. And I can't help but say that if this guy picks somebody to work for him, you better run for the hills, because you're going to be in trouble. If you don't want to get in any legal trouble, you run away from that fucker and run fast, because that son of a bitch there will dump everything that he's been doing wrong onto you, and you're going to be the one answering for his crimes and not him. Okay? That's what you do with a son of a bitch like that. You stay the hell away from that guy. You don't want nothing to do with him. And boy, I tell you, a lot of people, they got in trouble under him. Some of them haven't learned their lesson yet. Like Steve Bannon. Some of them are, you know, some of them are still doing the same damn shit before as they are now. And it goes to show you the mentality some of these Trumpsters have. You know, the loyalty, the sheer, you know, blind loyalty they have to this man is something that we don't see too often of in this country, at least on the scope of media scale that we have now. But it's there. It exists in our society. It's not impossible to see that kind of thing happen here the way we saw in history back in Germany with Nazism, okay? It can happen here. And the problem is we got to learn how not to do what they did back in the 30s, and how we can stand in front of that and block it before it becomes a big problem where we can't stop it, okay? And that's what Biden has been trying to tell us, you know, through speeches and stuff, is that, you know, we have to remember what this country was founded on, okay? That's when you want to fix the problems we have in this country, you begin there. What the nation was founded on, what the people back then wanted to see for a government. Okay, they were taking all that they learned from the country they came from. When they came here, they wanted to say, well, this didn't work over there, so let's do something about that here. Let's make this different. Okay, so we have to remember what the country was founded on step A. In order to fix all the other things that happen in the later steps, we got to go back to the beginning. Okay, and that means that all the things that Republicans have been doing, you know, for the, you know, I'm going to say recent, but for all the decades, okay, we have to look and ask ourselves, was what they did here right as far as the Constitution is concerned, as far as what the Founding Fathers wanted our country to be? Does that go in line with what they want? And if the answer is no, then that was a mistake. They have to take and undo that, okay? And, you know, of course, it brings me to the Roe versus Wade thing, which was a correct decision made at the time. That was, what, 7-2, was it, the outcome? So it was a thing, you know, that was decided on and accepted. Okay, and really the Republicans didn't have so much of a, how can I say it, a blowback over it. Okay, they didn't come out screaming and, you know, and threatening and doing all the shit like what happened on January 6th. They moved on that. But it was later when they found out that, you know, the voters had this issue in their minds a lot when they were voting, and found that, you know, maybe if we introduce that into our rhetoric when we run for leadership positions, that will help us draw in a few more voters. So they started using that as a narrative of what they want to do, which of course they never really did anything about, especially when they were running for president. But because, you know, I think Republicans knew then what they don't know today, that if you start putting down draconian laws, people are going to revolt on that immediately. Okay, they're not going to stand for it. We like choice in this country. I mean, that's like the big thing about what this country is about, is freedom of choice. Okay, which means personal liberties, which means privacy. Okay, if you take away that choice, you're hitting other things. You're destroying other things in this country, in what we're given rights to, and people don't like that, either Republican or Democrat. Okay, everybody bitches about something that they want, that they, you know, that the government's always trying to take away. So we know American rights are important, and the right to choose is important too. And so, even though they bring this up, the issue of abortion was not really a problem in America. People were kind of settled on the fact that people will make their own choice about it. It's their problem, not ours. Okay, we don't have to answer for someone else's actions, good or bad. Okay, each person, you know, takes credit for what they do, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I think, you know, it says as much in the Bible, if they want to use the Bible as a reason, you know, and so I think that this November, that's going to be the primary thing on people's minds, because all year long Republicans have been trying to do away with a lot of things, books and schools and guns. You know, the issue about gun control, they're trying to take that away, you know, and then of course abortion. And I mean, they've been hitting all these social things and creating problems that weren't there. Okay, just so they don't have to talk about things that Democrats are talking about. I don't know why they won't talk about it, because if I was a Republican and I wanted to have a chance of winning an election, I would probably steal some of the talking points from the Democrat side, because those are usually the avenues people will open the newspaper for to read about. Otherwise, they're just going to shut the paper, move on to the next article. They're not going to care how somebody feels about gun control or fucking abortion or anything like that, for or against it, okay? Because that's simply not something that government should get involved in, okay? It's just, those are issues of personal responsibility, okay? We can't regulate every fucking thing the person does as an American. I mean, Jesus, I mean, it's like fascism on 2.0. So we don't need that. But what we need is a government that does its job in the other avenues of our country that do matter, you know, like on the economy and jobs and the infrastructure, things that do matter, that make the country go smoothly, okay? And leave the other matters to the people themselves. Let them hammer this shit out. And they need to, and people need to be educated to stop running to Uncle Sam whenever you can't get your way on something you don't like. Okay, if you don't like people watching TV at 8 o'clock at night, you've got no business running to the fucking senator, to the governor, to whomever, and ask them, we need to introduce this on a bill so we can get people to vote against it. You know, what right do they have to go run into the government over such matters like that? Okay, certain things like that, they got to say, I'm sorry, we don't deal with this, please leave. You know, they got to have a sign on the door. You know, we only deal with real problems here. Opinions and what makes you uncomfortable, take it across the road. We don't want to hear about it. Take it outside. You know, people need to stop, you know, introducing these goddamn things, these made up problems and then letting the media build it all up into this big goddamn thing, okay? Because, you know, the media loves to ratchet up anger in this country by using whatever the hell people are talking about at any given moment in the day, okay? So, like I said, that's one of the things we got to do in this is, you know, people need to understand government is for this, okay? Everything else is up to you, okay? The laws and stuff like, don't get government involved in that, because when you open that door to having your lives regulated all the way into the bedroom, you've just opened a door and a Pandora's box that you may never close, because then every person that comes after that's going to feel justified to add on top of what was done before, okay? So I think that's a big thing. And finally, this last article here, this was published today in Go-To Tutors. Student protests shuts down Tomi Lahren speech at university, written by Erica Hansen. Colleges and universities were once praised for fostering individuals' rights to freedom of speech, but in a growing fashion, many fear that these institutions for higher education are restricting certain students' rights under the First Amendment. The recent scheduling of controversial commentator Tomi Lahren is proving that theory true, as her speech scheduled at the University of New Mexico was disrupted and ultimately shut down. Conservative Fox News commentator Tomi Lahren was set to be a guest speaker for a Turning Point USA event inside the University of New Mexico on September 15th. The 30-year-old was giving her, quote, "talking with Tommy" speech, unquote. However, the address never went off, as it was shut down by protesting students. According to reports from FIRE, a nonpartisan activist organization with the mission to preserve free speech rights on school campuses, Tomi Lahren's speech was disrupted by protesters. Video footage shows the group shouting, quote, "shut it down," unquote, as they forced their way into the hall holding the event. Opposing students banged on the walls and doors and eventually pulled fire alarms to make sure the speech could not commence. Fox News condemned the protesters' acts, calling Tomi Lahren protesters violent. While most would agree that this was a violation of free speech rights, some would condemn the conservative media outlet for calling the actions, quote-unquote, violent. After all, no one was injured during the protest, and their recount of the events only serves to further divide the nation. However, the protesters did appear to become unruly, and they certainly are guilty of disrupting the speech. The University of New Mexico released a statement after the Tomi Lahren event condemning the acts of the students. They noted that the property was vandalized and a fire alarm was illegally pulled. Tomi Lahren first rose to national prominence for her conservative American values and viewpoints in politics. She further gained attention after working with the Great American Alliance, an advocacy organization that supports Donald Trump. Today, she is a talk show host on Fox Nation. The conservative commentator has long been criticized by liberals for lambasting the Black Lives Matter movement, along with her radical stance opposing immigration. But just as protesters should be given the right to peacefully object to Tomi Lahren's appearance on the campus, the rights for her to speak her opinion, and those who chose to listen, should also be upheld. The university is now under fire for failing to ensure the safety of both Lahren and the event's attendees. Speaking with Outkick, Tomi Lahren ridiculed the college for its lack of safety. She asserted that school officials were well aware of the planned protests but did nothing to ramp up security. Quote, "The University of New Mexico doesn't seem to care not only about my safety but about the safety of their own students, and left us all barricaded in a room with basically rabid banshee animals trying to bust down the doors to get us out," unquote, she said. Since the incident, the University of New Mexico has vowed to improve its policies. They pledged to meet and discuss how to foster safe environments during guest speaker events in the future. Additionally, they promised to ensure the public right to free speech. the disruption of Tony Laren's speech is further dividing America's liberals and conservatives, but most of all, it is showing just how faulty colleges and universities are, as they appear to have no repercussions for those who violate free speech rights and liberties. For now, it is unknown whether or not Laren will ever accept an invitation to speak at the university again, but what is certain is that all eyes will be on the school to see how it handles future protests. Okay, so we got a Republican here that says, ow, they disrupted my friggin' speech. Yeah, they were out pounding on the doors and stuff like that. Well, okay, so you didn't get a chance there to run your mouth, okay? It's like you don't do enough of that on TV. Okay, the fact is the Republicans opened the door to more violence kind of protesting, okay, after January 6th. Believe me, the liberals were watching that, and it pissed them off big time. So now, when they do protests, they're going to raise the bar a little bit more on what they're going to do with these protests. They may not beat people up, but if you push them to a point, they might just. Who knows? The thing of it is that after all this time where Republicans are always condemning liberals for protests, Black Lives Matter, all these things that they do, okay, they go out and have a protest that outdoes all of that shit. Okay, outdoes everything Democrats ever do. Makes them look like, fleas at a picnic. Okay, they go out and they get people killed on purpose and attack law enforcement at the same time. Okay, and beat the living shit out of them at the heart of the country. Okay, and they're going to sit here and tell Democrats how they're supposed to behave at a goddamn protest. Yeah, they got every right to say that. Okay, freedom of speech works for both sides. Okay, and yeah, they shouldn't have pulled the fire alarm. They shouldn't have been beating on the walls and stuff like that. What they should have been was outside. Would have been better. Screaming at them and stuff with bullhorns and things like that. That should have been where they should have been outside. Okay. She felt threatened. Oh, they're going to come and get me. Well, why would you feel that way? Why would you feel like that? You would feel like that because after what you saw happen on January 6th, you think that's going to happen every time. So your own people made you scared of actually doing something next to a protest. Your own people has. I mean, did you see the speech that Biden gave, when he was standing in front of Hell's Gate there? A big red background. Okay, he had more goddamn security and shields around him. If you didn't see it, you weren't looking very close, but he was encased practically in bulletproof screening while he was up there. Okay, so the country knows that it's out there. Everybody knows it's out there. It can happen. It has happened, and it can. Nobody's taking any chances here. And who's the one that started that? It wasn't the Democrats. Okay? It was the Republicans. They're the ones that put us on this footing now. They're the ones that raise the bar on what happens at a fucking protest. Before that, okay, things, yeah, there was certain things that happened, like a business getting busted into and things like that. Okay? But people, by and large, didn't feel like they had to encase themselves in bulletproof things, okay, before heading out to deliver a speech or go out in public. Now, all of a sudden, it's it's like living in the TV show The RoboCop. Christ, it's like everybody is out to kill you, and people don't feel safe in this country because you got people out there with guns. Again, Republicans all on that side of the aisle. People out there with guns ready to take those things out and start pulling the trigger at every person they see. This is what we live in now, and it's because of them, not because of the Democrats, because the Democrats, by and large, are trying to settle things down here. They're trying to de-escalate as much as they can against the will of the Republican or the Trumplican Party, okay? These people do not care about the kids that get killed because of their stance on things, okay? These people do not care about what happens to a mother if she's not allowed to have an abortion, okay? These people do not care about what happens to the fetus when it's born and is a baby, how that if that person's going to be able to have a decent life, okay? So what can you say that these people really advocate for? You know, apparently what they like the most is causing problems, chaos, getting people killed, you know, picking on people, marginalizing people, segregating people. Okay, they're the total opposite of what Democrats are. All right. So I ask you, okay, if there were two people running for the presidency, Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader, who the fuck are you gonna vote for? Jesus, you know, because that seems to me like that's what the Trumplican party is. They're the dark side of the goddamn force, and the other side is an obvious, better side. So why are so many people so eager to see, that side take the platform and think that, oh, things are going to be better? When does evil ever create better things in this country, or in the world for that matter? Okay, go back in history and look at all the oppressors, the leaders that were oppressors to their people. Anything good happen while they were there? Except taking land from other people. I mean, that's basically all they ever did back then, was steal land, kill, slaughter people, destroy empires, just for world domination. Okay, just for world domination. And people really need to sit back and just take the blinders off, turn your brains on, okay? Listen to what goes on around you. Watch what people say. It's a very easy thing to do. And just, think about what they're saying after they've said it, and think about their motives, and ask yourself questions. Why are they doing this? Why are they saying that? Is there a problem that requires that kind of attention? And where's the evidence that shows that it is a problem? You never really have to ask that when Democrats are talking about, well, we'd like to reduce healthcare costs, or we'd like to have universal healthcare, or we'd like to see, our schools improved. Okay, there's all kinds of evidence that, suggests that, yes, these should be concerns of us right now. If we want to make things better in America, here's some things that we can improve on. It's always there, Jesus. But people seem to forget all about that, and they only want to focus on the Oprah Winfrey things, or the Ricky Lake subjects, and because that gets all kinds of claps and applause and woo, and the friggin' the lunatics come out of the woodwork, okay, for that. So they focus on that. So do you really want to side with the lunatics there, and their agenda, or do you want to play a serious game and really see things get better, so that way those people that are crazy and all that, well, they can still have their life. We'll just watch out for them. We'll end up taking care of them anyway, because they'll ruin their lives. But, we'll focus seriously on things that need to be fixed, while they can sit there and beat each other up over dumb things. Okay? I think that's the way things should be. And, there's a lot of blame to go around as to why it's not that way. Okay? And maybe I'll save that discussion for a later time. Right now, I'd like to say this is it for today, and hope to see everybody again soon. So please keep your ears open on any COVID-19 news and monkeypox news, and subscribe, and please comment. I want to hear from you, everybody, and treat each other nice. Don't go around and try to start fights for no reason if you're just bored. And when you read the news, read it with an open mind, or maybe read other sources for the same story. You might get some different perspectives. It's a good thing. So I'll talk to you later, everybody. Bye-bye.